Hey guys, what's up? Finchinator here. Today I am bringing you guys a video on the first suspect test of Scarlet and Violet overused. Yes, that is right. The 9th generation of Pokemon has its first ever suspect test, and the topic is Terastallization. As you are now aware, it's the main core mechanic of Generation 9, and we're going to go into why it's being suspected and what the suspect entails for this video. Before I get into that, I just want to say thank you to everyone for playing the metagame so far, posting your thoughts, be it on Twitter, on smogon, on Discord, on Pokemon Showdown, and all of the other platforms I've been. It's been so amazing getting so much feedback, both positive and negative, and that's okay. Personally, I definitely am a little bit on the burnt out side. I'd be lying if I said that I haven't put in a lot of time into this. In fact, this suspect test, it's not even up yet. This is in a little private message. I've been drafting it in. I mean, this is kind of my the biggest thing I've really ever been a part of. It is it's one of the defining things this generation, of course. And while Dynamax last generation was more cut and dry, there's definitely some more animated spirit towards how terastallization should be. There's definitely not a defeatist attitude towards those that really want to try and preserve it. There's more realism to it, and there are a lot of options. So we're going to use this video again to go into those options, go into terastallization, and kind of set the stage for a suspect test that's going to be one for the history books, no doubt about it. I just want to say thank you so much to all the Pokemon Showdown contributors who have made this generation possible so far. Actually, Random Battle is now up, which is really cool for those of you that are interested in that format. And also to all my fellow OU councilmen, moderators, and contributors as well. It's been a really long trek this last month. I'm definitely tired myself. I work full time and then I go and I put 5 or 6 hours sometimes after work into this when I'm not with my loved ones. And needless to say, as a hobbyist, this has been extreme. So I'm excited to just sit back and see how the suspect test goes and let the community decide what happens. So without further ado, without any more rambling, let's go ahead and get into the suspect. So terastallization is being suspected. However, I cannot stress this enough. It is not a generic ban or do not ban suspect. It is actually a suspect that is going to come down to 2 questions. We're going to scroll all the way down. I wrote a novel for this post to put everything in context, but this is the biggie here. Very important in bolded letters with asterisks. The vote will consist of 2 questions that all voters must answer, and we will provide a clear mechanism to do so via response form that only accepts a response if both prompts are responded to at time of the vote. What does this mean? This means it's a 2-question suspect. So everyone has to respond to 2 questions, not just ban or do not ban. Now, the first question is, do you want tiering action on terastallization? And the responses are action or no action. Terastallization, for those of you who don't know, is a very polarizing topic. Some people think that it might be problematic in its current state, myself included, but maybe it could be restricted instead of outright banned because it's such a focal, important mechanic. And some people think that there's no action needed at all. If 40% of people vote no action, 41%, and anything above 40.0%, basically, or 40.0% if it's a 40-60 split, because the status quo, then it's automatically staying in the metagame as is. That means that you need over 60% in favor of acting on terastallization. So, if I get 100 people, which we're going to get much more than 100 people, and 40 of them are like, no, let's keep it as is, then we're keeping it as is. So the board is stacked in favor of the status quo, which is keeping terastallization in the game. That's by design. Let's say that we do hit above 60%. We get 61% or 64% or 72%, whatever it may be. Then a second question is triggered. And everyone answers this up front. It's not like a 2 separate type of thing. Everyone answers this up front. What are your ranked preferred actions? So you're going to rank them 1 through 4. There are 4 possible actions that can be done. An outright ban terastallization, which removes it from the metagame altogether. 1 terastallization user per team. The first Pokemon in your party, essentially, I believe, will be your Terra Captain of sorts. Your only user that can terastallize in the game, which limits it. Revealing the Terra type of team preview, the option that is part of the Team Sheets initiative in the VGC, official recognition. I don't personally love it as an option, but I think we need to include it because VGC is, and I think a lot of people like it, so that's interesting to see if it'll get enough support. And finally, only reveal stab Terra types allowed. Personally, my least favorite option right now, I did like it a couple weeks back, but the more I've seen, the more arbitrary it is. Basically, this means that you can only Terastallize in your naturally given type. So if you're Slowking, only Water or Psychic. If you're Dragapult, only Dragon or Ghost. You can't Terastallize in any other type. That's what it means. Make enough sense? Sure. So it's not just going to be who gets the most first place votes or who gets the least last place votes. This is going to be determined via ranked choice voting. I hyperlink something in the suspect post that goes over the intricacies of ranked choice voting. It's something that was created by someone who's much more methodical, much craftier than I ever will be. I'm not some voting wizard, but thankfully this is a very proven method that's been used in some smogon tiering contexts as well. Admittedly, this is a bit more of a creative solution, as it's a creative problem, it's a generation core mechanic, so we want to do what we can to try and either have it in metagame or preserve it. But if the cards are stacked against it that much and that the player base really doesn't like it or finds it to be uncompetitive, then there's a chance it will be outright banned. Of course, there's also a chance that one of the three quote-unquote restrictions are chosen. Or there's also a chance that no action altogether is chosen as the first step, which is a roadblock to the second question altogether, and then it just stays in SVOU for the foreseeable future. I want to note that regardless of which action we do elect, I think there is a chance, certainly not a guarantee, but a chance that we have a second suspect test or a third suspect test and so on Terastallization, as it's just so important. There's so much gravity to the situation that we really need to focus on making sure that we get it right for the community. Moreover, Terastallization is one of the most polarizing, controversial topics. I can write this long post and link all these other posts and this survey and these threads on it, and we still can't be fully sure of what's going to happen. Quite on the contrary, this is the first suspect where, as a tier leader, I've not been sure of even what the top two things will be, let alone the top one. I couldn't hazard a guess now and say I'd be sure that's going to be the case in 3 weeks, which, by the way, this is a slightly longer suspect. My personal leaning, I will say, lies within definitely voting action in the first question, as the metagame right now is very variance heavy, a lot of guesswork. Unfortunately, it comes to the point where while we know what a lot of Pokemon are Terastallizing into, picking the timing of it and generating game plan around it, both in the team builder, is impossible with all the possibilities, and in the game is just largely hypothetical, because in practice, there's too many different possibilities. Offense goes crazy, and even defensive Pokemon can exploit it. Certain win conditions become virtually unstoppable, and even if we ban the best Pokemon that would abuse it, it would just decreep the metagame to the point where the next best abusers would kind of form that same tier, and then we'd spend all generation chasing this. So I definitely think action is needed. As for what action, I'm going to go through the 4 right now really quickly. Only stab types is probably my least favorite. It initially was something I liked more, but the more I can see it, things like Chi-Yu, King Gambit, really outrageously strong. Dragapult, really amazing. Chien-Pao, with the Terra Stab, and it really would only make it an offensive mechanic. Well, defensive type changing is part of it. It feels like not only is it like kind of an arbitrary choice, but also it's one that wouldn't necessarily solve the problem, meaning it would linger as an issue, and it also is one that would make the metagame go like purely like for offensive, and I feel there'd still be a lot of guesswork to it. So I think that's a very incomplete solution, and unfortunately I wouldn't support it. Well, initially I definitely liked it more. I don't like it anymore. Revealing the type at team preview is probably my third. A lot of people like it because VGC is using it and they want some consistency, and I completely understand that. And if that's the way you want to vote, then you 100% should. You're entitled to do that. No doubt about that. Personally, I do have some issues with it because knowing all 6 Pokemon can still Terastallize into any type, while you see that, a lot of people already kind of have an idea of what the 1 or two types it could Terastallize into. It doesn't really make a big difference. And while it can help with building, with gameplay counterplay a little bit, it doesn't solve the building issue. The fact that in the builder we have no idea, so we still have to prepare for everything. It's only a battle restriction. And while it is precedented from VGC and less arbitrary, I don't think it solves the gameplay issues of it, and I think it'll make the game still riddled with a great degree of variance. Again, I do think it's better than no action. I do think it's better than only stab terrors being allowed, but it's still a clear third place for me. And then the 2 I'd be deciding between are an outright ban, which I'd like to avoid on principle, and probably the one I favor the most right now in 1 Terra user per team, just because this limits the issue. You could really focus your scope on that 1 Terra user, and also it does loosen the team building issue as well. While any Pokemon Terastallize going into the game, you also know that there can't be overlap, so you can kind of minimize your prep for certain combinations. And also the guesswork component of it is less pressing, so defensive teams suddenly have a bit more breathing room. And the metagame will definitely develop into a place where certain translation users are much more common in trends as well. Whereas initially, it definitely, no matter what the result, it's always going to inherit a metagame that's a little all over the place, just like the metagame right now, even if there's no action. I think that could be a path. It is more of a battle restraint than a team builder constraint, but I think the way battles have translation limited will help with building as well over time. With that said, though, I'm not sure it'll be enough. Ultimately, I think one tier user and outright ban are the ones I'm deciding between right now. I'd love to hear what you guys think down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and supporting Scarlet and Violet Overused. And one last thing. To everyone who thinks the suspect is too premature, which I've heard a lot of, we've actually taken more measures for this suspect than any suspect in the history of competitive Pokemon. It's something that, as a cheerleader, I'm actually really proud of because I've dedicated my life to it. I mean, this has kind of been a full-time job on top of my full-time job. As kind of pathetic as that sounds as I say it, we've had community threads with well over 1,000 posts. We've had the largest tiering survey in competitive Pokemon history. We've had all sorts of internal discussions with other leaders and people who have set the precedent that form our tiering system. I've engaged with people on Twitter, on Discord, on Pokemon Showdown, on Smogon, and even other outlets as well. I've taken so many lengths here to the point that we know that there's clearly enough support for a suspect, and it would be irresponsible to not have one. Maybe you could say, oh, you should suspect Pokemon first, and that's fair, but given the survey results, no single Pokemon really stood out as needing either a quick ban or like a suspect above the others. We kind of hit a point of where the metagame clearly still has some things that could be done, but nothing stands out a ton to where it makes it unplayable. Where it's not a great metagame, it's not the most competitive metagame, but we feel that we've hit that crossroads point where nothing really is quick bannable. There's no need for a radar every week. We just need to focus predominantly on the suspect right now, and then we can get back to potential quick bans or more likely suspects down the road after this. Suspect goes until January 1st. The GXC requirements are the same as last generation. The name prefix is OUDJ, and if you need help getting Rex, shoot me a message on Discord. Shoot me a DM or a tweet on Twitter. Shoot me a PM on Smogon. I'll give you some teams. I'll give you some pointers and tips. 80 GXC is not that daunting a task, especially with how crazy the metagame is right now. I think a lot of you guys who may main lower middle ladder can really get there and impact and leave your mark on history of competitive Pokemon. I think this is going to be one of the easier suspects actually to get Rex once it's all said and done. And I'm really here to help you guys out, so please message me if you can. All right, guys, that about does it. These are my thoughts on Translation Suspect and introduction to it. It's going to be up in the next half hour. Hopefully I'll get this YouTube video up soon. Thank you. Bye.